happens though? I mean, getting this done without a hitch, for example, getting the payment the following morning, as you promised. The farmers get their money. It's a win-win situation. Quite a lesson. But how do you make it? Because there are different banks that come into the picture.
Yes.
And you need to bring the banks aboard that huge ship.
Well, to be frank, I don't think anybody believes that the system that we were thinking to create could actually work in a country.
I am one of them.
So you are a man of little
I'm the
faith.
skeptic. I'm the skeptic.
And people would actually laugh when I would say we are going to transmit data live. And live in real time means in seconds, not minutes, not hours, not days. We will transmit market price live, and we will clear payments within a day. We are doing exactly that. How we are doing that is by applying the best minds who work with passion and commitment and have to think outside of the box. We have a group of professionals who have come from abroad, but more importantly, we have an outstanding team of young Ethiopians who have been recruited really from all over the country and who work 14-hour days, always trying to find solutions rather than problems. Because if you accept that telecommunications is weak or that the financial system is not up to speed, then we don't get anywhere. So, for example, we have to create effectively a national payment system to clear payments between any seller or any buyer anywhere in the country, all within hours of trade. To do that, with the current in the current situation where there is no actual functioning national payment system, meaning that the banks don't talk to each other, meant that we had to create an alternative system. So we created a system where all of our banks, partner banks, we have an account in each of them. They each have an account in each other's banks. And we created an electronic gateway with each of them. We would have never had to do this had there been a national payment system to begin with, or had there been a clearing corporation entity that we could have just given this business to. But because none of that existed, we created something for this country. That's why we call this an Ethiopian exchange for Ethiopia. This is not the Chicago exchange for Ethiopia or the Indian exchange. This is Ethiopia's exchange.
Adapted to an Ethiopian reality.
We have to tailor it to Ethiopia's realities. We have to tailor it to very small farmers. That's why our contract size is small farmers. That's why our contract size is small. We have to tailor it to relatively unsophisticated traders. That's why most of our systems are very, very basic. We have to adapt it to a relatively weak financial system and telecommunications, and yet we're doing it. I think the most important for us personal, or let's say as a company, our sense of triumph over the last year is that we showed that the improbable could happen. And it's just a small and first step, but it has happened.
But will that hold? Will it hold? I mean, because there are many skeptics like myself who are waiting to see whether this would be a functioning institution, for example, 5 years down the road.
I envisage it will be a much, much more functioning institution 5 years from now. That's not because by nature I'm an optimist. I am. But I don't think that's why. I think it's because this is not a personality dependent or a fashion of the moment type of idea. This is a very systemic approach. We are building systems which are based on laws and institutions. A regulatory agency has been created. Capacity is being built in order to sustain an oversight role. Similarly, a cadre of young professionals now exists. Even more importantly, a whole group of members, of traders who have been trained and have now been working in this system exists. And these systems will outlive any of us, I believe, and I'm sure. So I think what's ahead, and we have continuous learning, continuous new initiatives going on. So we are expanding. We're not standing still, watching time fly. We are actually constantly adapting our model. And I think probably that's the biggest strength. If you ask me why would it be able to be sustained, does it depend on Eleni or does it depend on so and so? I don't think so. Because what we are doing is really building in a systemic learning model. We very quickly adapted to changes that happen even in the course of our first year of trading. We are now launching our second full year new harvest starting with going into electronic trading, so people from wherever they are in the country will be able to access the trading floor without actually physically having to come here. We're moving into inventory financing, which is taking our warehouse receipts, which already exists, and now turning it into enabling it to become a pledge for a loan against the bank. So this is the collateral. Using our warehouse receipt as collateral. We're moving into new products. We're moving into new services. So this is something now that really has a life of its own.
But I'm sure, and I hope you foresee challenges, a significant number of them in the years ahead, don't you?
Yes, I think so. But and I think our second year will be at least as challenging as the first. This is probably to be expected. The first 3 to 5 years really are the solidifying period of the exchange. Our projections in terms of the financial sustainability, because that's the other side that we didn't talk about, but it is an autonomous commercial entity. It works on a self-sustaining revenue model. It generates earnings, and its earnings go into its own scaling up. It doesn't pay money to either to dividends or to anybody else. So really, it's a growth model. So
not even to the Ministry of Finance.
No, it doesn't. By law, this exchange is a service to society, so it has a social objective, but at the same time, it's a non-profit entity, but it does generate revenue. So it sustains itself financially, it covers its recurrent costs, and any net earnings go into its own scaling up. So that keeps us honest. That keeps us in the business of earning some money, because that's how we expand our business. So that's really, I think, a sensible model, and in many ways, it's a very unique model, the way this exchange has been set up. We've got expressions of interest in what we're doing from all over Africa. We just had a delegation from Kenya, from the Prime Minister's office. We've had expressions of interest from Thailand, Indonesia, Haiti, Nigeria. We had a delegation. So a lot of people are looking at this model as perhaps the new model of market development for an emerging country.
Well, Eleni, good luck. It was great to have you on the show.
Nice to be back. Thank you.